do they really think that way? Or is Juan Ayuso thinking, I'm the best rider in the world?
I think until not long ago, he did think that. And I think that he thinks that he can become it. In my opinion, a mind, for example, I mean, I'm just saying this from a distance, right? But a guy like Remco Evenepoel, for example, he is so ambitious. He's such a winner that he will not accept defeat against Pogačar. I mean, he's accepting the defeat now, but he will want to get at that level.
Everybody, welcome back to The Move Plus. This is a special series that Johan and I are going to be doing in the offseason. We know it's technically not the offseason yet. We have Lombardia coming up this weekend, but I will sit down with Johan at the beginning of every week. We're going to go through a few topics that have come up over the week, the week before, and then answer a few questions. We will be taking listener submitted questions at info@wedo.team. Just send those in, title them something like The Move Plus questions, and we'll get to them when news gets slower in the off season. But Johan, just to jump right into it, these Tom Pidcock to Q36.5 rumors from Ineos, at first it makes no sense. The more I think about it, it makes no sense. Can you make sense of this for us? Like, what is going on here? A lot of is being made of, he's going from the biggest team in the sport to a second division team. But not only would he be going to a second division team, he's going to one that would it even be having a chance at a Grand Tour, like maybe a Giro. It just seems like such an odd step for him that it makes me not even really trust that the information, not that the information isn't correct, but that the move is actually going to happen. Like, what have you heard on this and what can you share?
Well, I mean, I'm going off what I've been reading, right? And the Italian journalist Ciro is quite famous for starting rumors. I would say 60 to 70% of the rumors have been true. There's a quite significant part that have not been true. But he's famous for launching rumors. So what my takeaway is that, well, first of all, we have seen that Pidcock has publicly expressed his unhappiness at Ineos for certain reasons. He says it's not the same anymore. He says, he feels. I think he said he doesn't feel like he's been paid attention enough. So an unhappy Tom Pidcock. I think that's probably the reason why we're even talking about this. And then I think the big question here is, who can pay Tom Pidcock, or who can pay the actual contract of Tom Pidcock right now, even if Ineos would be willing to let him go for free without a buyout, because he does have a contract till 2027. Let's not forget this. A really long-term contract. So let's say Ineos wants to save money, which we all know that they want to cut their budget. I've heard several amounts. I think Pidcock is one of the highest paid riders in the peloton. Definitely, I think he's probably the highest paid rider in Ineos. I've heard £4 million. Which is a big contract for a rider who's not a Grand Tour winner. So let's say that's on the table. Then how many teams can at this point in the season afford a €4 million or pound contract? Because he's not going to go for 50% of that contract somewhere, right? So that's one thing to consider. There's another scenario. You could say, well, maybe somebody's willing to pay a certain amount of money, and then Ineos probably. They pay $1 million to Pidcock just to let him go. They still save $3 million, right? That's doable. Now, to see Tom Pidcock go to Q36.5. In my opinion, it's a bit of a stretch. I'm not excluding it, but because it's probably a team where he would get the freedom to have his all the disciplines, cyclocross, mountain bike, and road, personally, if I were Pidcock and the people around him, he's one of the biggest talents in cycling. Let's not forget that. I just think it's a shame that he is only part-time road rider. He focuses on mountain bike. He's double Olympic champion. Let's not forget that. Okay, there's not a lot of people who can say that, but I think for Pidcock, it's time to forget about cyclocross, to forget about mountain bike. It's not an Olympic year next year. So it's time to focus on the road and what's his possibilities, how far he can get on the road. We already know he can win classics. He won Amstel. He won other important races, one-day races, but how far he can get in the Tour de France. Because I still believe that a guy like Pidcock, if he focuses on a project like Tour de France, and it takes more than one season to make that shift. But I think if we're looking at, okay, who else is there to rival with these top guys like Jonas and Tadej and Remco and Primoz, it's Pidcock right now. He has the talent. I think it requires a switch of mentality and it's one of the guys that I see that he has the physical capacities to do that. Now, then the question is 36.5, Q36.5 the ideal environment to do that? My first thought would be no, but then also maybe they have a long-term vision and they want to grow with Pidcock towards being a Grand Tour contender. And if it's a 3-year project, then I'm not excluding it. But now, to see it happen, I think it requires that all the pieces of the puzzle fall together, and especially the money. I think that the money needs to be there, and I think that's going to be the big issue. Who can afford to pay the contract of Tom Pidcock right now?
Yeah, that is a big question. I also think Ciro, Scandomedio, and then also Daniel Friba were the ones that broke the story. Okay. I heard £5 million, which due to the strength of Sterling at the moment would make him probably the second highest paid rider in the world. 4 is a little easier to work through. That's still that's got to be close to €6 million.
I don't know what the pound to the euro is right now, but and maybe it's €4 million. I don't even know. Still, it's a big contract. I personally think it would require kind of a big bike brand to get involved, because Pidcock isn't interesting. If you look at, for example, at Van der Poel, for Canyon, he is the ideal ambassador because he wins on all their different bikes. Pidcock is the other guy, together with maybe Wout van Aert, but Pidcock is the guy, right? So that would be, but then again, if you look at Q36.5, they're on Scott. I don't know if Scott is the bike brand who could afford this. Right now he's on Pinarello. I think Pinarello does have certain financial leverage, but and I don't know. It would make most sense if Pidcock makes a move to a team which is unspecialized. Then I could see it.
Is it the owner of Q36.5? The owner of Pinarello, the bike brand?
I think so. Yeah. So that's obviously, but then Q36.5 would need to switch to Pinarello
from Scott,
which is also doable, I think. But then what's going to happen with Pinarello and Ineos? Right?
Yeah. I have no information on this. Just me sitting around thinking, you watch Manchester United, they're making cuts. Jim Ratcliffe didn't come in and it's not oh, Daddy Jim is here. We can spend all the money we want. They're being pretty tight around the ground there. And so if they're just looking at their expenses, what are we spending money on every year? And they look at this big line item in cycling and they say, that's a lot of money. A lot of money. We could reinvest that into the soccer team, the football team, however you want to say that, and get a lot more return for our money. Maybe they think that. I kind of wonder, how long is this team going to be around? Tom Pidcock has a contract through 2027. Is Ineos the cycling team around through 2027? And are they just kind of scrambling to clear the books? They're not really bringing anybody in, Johan. If Tom Pidcock left sure, they might save some money. And this is the thing I don't fully understand. I asked someone about this, like, why would they want to get rid of him? And they said, well, he costs a lot of money. He's not going to win the Tour. That's two pretty good reasons. But then, okay, so Tom Pidcock's not going to win the Tour in 2025. Who is? Like, this is just a money-saving maneuver? That seems... That to me kind of seems like
I think Ineos is making some changes, and they know that the changes are not going to happen in 1 year. You know, it'll take 2-3 years to. You know, I've seen they did sign some really good young talent, a few really good guys, but at the same time, you know, 2025 the results are not going to be dramatically better, in my opinion, than in 2024. So
well, and this is I worry I say this too much, but my big thing that I can't get over is, okay, young talent. They've been signing young talent for a long time. Those guys never get better. Like Ben Turner, what is he? Has he gotten any better since he joined the team? Ethan Hayter is leaving the team. Yeah. He was like their young talent they signed. Like even Magnus Sheffield, very good rider. You kind of wonder, is he a better rider than the day he arrived at the team? You know, that to me is the big red flag with Ineos. And then the fumbling of Pablo Castrillo. Like they had him signed to a pre-contract, and now he's going to Movistar on a 3-year deal.
You know, talking about Pablo Castrillo, so, you know, obviously the sensation of the Vuelta, it was clear he was going to leave Kern Pharma. I had information that the deal was basically done with Ineos, and now it's public knowledge that he signed the 3-year deal with Movistar, which actually makes a lot of sense to me. That's the guy that definitely that they needed, that Movistar needed. Now, is it the best team for Castrillo? We don't know. But it's definitely, I mean, it's an upgrade, a big upgrade for him in terms of a team. And I think Movistar needs Castrillo more than Castrillo needs Movistar, to be honest. But the fact is that Ineos loses out on this, and so I mean, it's not. I mean, there's been years that people would have killed to go to Team Ineos, and they would have taken any contract, even 30-40% less money, to be able to go to Ineos rather than to another team. But those times are gone. You know, it's not the benchmark team anymore. It's still an amazing team. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I mean, and Pablo Castrillo, obviously Movistar or Team Movistar was in high need of you know, the sensation of Spanish cycling right now. Because, you know, they do have Enric Mas, which, you know, who did an amazing Vuelta and has a really good end of the season. But, you know, Enric Mas has been around for a while, and you know, he's not. I wouldn't say he's not the most marketable guy for a team, right? So I think the move of Castrillo makes a lot of sense. I'm not surprised that happened.
Well, I assume he gets to be a leader or some sort of leader of freedom, which maybe he wouldn't have. Like, did he really need to go to Ineos to work for Geraint Thomas? Probably not, right?
Well, so, I don't think that was also I don't think that was the purpose. I mean, even in Ineos, he would have gotten his chances. But obviously in Movistar, he will be more of a leader. And then, I mean, we're going to have to see also, you know, the confirmation still needs to come, right? I mean, we won't say he came out of nothing, because Pablo Castrillo has already. I mean, last year he had a pretty good season with a limited racing program. This year, before the Vuelta, he had a few good results, but, you know, winning these two mountain stages, and especially that last one was incredible. Now it's going to be, the question is, can he confirm the high expectations? That's the next step in his career, right? So I'm confident he can, but it's an unknown for the moment.
So my last two thoughts on Ineos, Tom Pidcock. Do you know how many career wins on the road Tom Pidcock has? I was stunned to see this.
Not many. How many?
5.
5. Okay.
Tadej Pogačar might have that since we've started recording the show. Like, he might have 5 wins in the last 24 hours.
Yeah. I've said all along, it would be a really good idea if Tom Pidcock would finally put his mind to becoming a full-time professional road racer. He's been world champion cyclocross. It seems like he has lost some interest there, and I can understand that. Okay, double Olympic champion mountain bike, that's huge, of course. It's huge. And, it is a discipline that these multidiscipline riders seem to favor. Even Van der Poel says that it's his favorite discipline. But, now it's time for Pidcock to get his focus on the road, honestly. If I would be a team, either whether it's his existing team right now or a new team, that would be my first thing. Hey, you need to commit to be a full-time pro on the road. That's what we want to go for. You have the qualities, and so let's go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think he's a huge talent. I didn't mean to be like slamming him with the 5 wins comment, but yeah, he either needs to focus on the road or I guess just make a lot less money, because sure, he can win all the cross and mountain bike races he wants. But like that French, I forget his name, the French guy who got second at the Olympics on the mountain bike, I doubt he makes £4 million a year. It's just a different income bracket that you're in when you're an off-road rider. And so either you have to start making that money, or he's getting paid Tour de France contender money. So one of those things needs to give.
Money. He's getting paid Grand Tour winner money.
I mean, he might make more than Remco Evenepoel.
They're up there, more or less the same, I think.
Hey, everybody, I want to tell you about a new sponsor we have here at The Move, which is Here.com. If you've ever been frustrated with hearing loss, Here.com is exactly where you need to go. These guys are the real deal. They've got an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, a 4.9 rating at Consumer Affairs, and over 500,000 people are already loving their super tiny, super powerful German hearing aids. 500,000, that is a lot. And the glowing reviews keep rolling in. Take Jerry, for example. He wrote in saying that the in-home exam made everything so convenient, and his new devices are extremely comfortable compared to the old ones. Or James, who called working with Here.com a total win and said it's one of the best investments he's ever made. The best part, with insurance, flexible financing options, and 100% money-back guarantee, Here.com makes getting great hearing aids super easy. So if you're ready to stop saying what and start hearing the world again clearly, now is the time. So right now at here.com/move, not the move, our listeners can sign up for an exclusive 45-day no-risk trial so you can hear the difference for yourself. So what are you waiting for? Head to here.com/move, not the move today to get that offer. All right, now back to the show. So moving on from that, I'll believe it. My official stance is I'll believe that when I see that. I kind of wonder, because
I think that the terrain has been explored of where he could go to. These rumors don't come out of nothing. There has been talks. Now, between wanting something and making it happen, there's a lot of steps to be made. So, maybe to 2025, he's still on Ineos, and 2026, who knows? Maybe Q36.5 gets a bigger sponsor, and maybe they switch to Pinarello, and then Pidcock.
Yeah.
That could be a possibility.
And he leaves with a year left on his deal. Yeah. The thing is, he has so much power in this negotiation, because if he doesn't do anything, he comes back to Ineos next year, makes really good money, and the person he allegedly has the biggest problem with, Steve Cummings, isn't there. So he's kind of just on gardening leave at the moment.
I don't know. Something must have happened there. I don't have any information, but it's been strange. It's been strange. I think there's a conflict of personalities there in the team also, and not just Pidcock and Cummings. I think there's more that we don't know about, but it's just a guessing game.
So the next topic we will go to Tadej Pogačar, who I planned would win another race today, but the race was canceled, I guess, after it called off after it started. Trey, maybe Johan can.
Trevale Varinese.
Yeah, exactly. The 3 valleys, but he wins on Saturday at Giro dell'Emilia, which is a hard race, which is kind of funny because they just raced up that same climb, stage 2 of the Tour de France. It was funny to see them back there in quite a bit different weather, very cold, very rainy. He wins easily. And it was Remco Evenepoel there. Tom Pidcock is there. Looks good, actually. Primož Roglič, who's won the race 3 out of the last 6 years, I believe. Yeah. And it wasn't even, I kind of thought that it would be a last climb attack from Pogačar or second to last climb attack from Pogačar. He attacks the first time. They do the climb 5 times.
Well, he doesn't really. I mean, the attack. I don't know if what we've seen so far from Pogačar is that he does a lot of things that are not on the plan. I personally can't think that was his plan, but if you look at the race, the first time of the climb of San Luca, it's called San Luca, no?
San Luca, yeah.
It's Remco Evenepoel who accelerates to kind of test, his legs and the test of the competition. Sometimes it happens that you feel okay, and until you don't go that little 2-3% faster, you don't really know. It was clear straight away that Remco didn't have the legs that he thought he would have. And Pogačar just accelerates. And I think we're having a combination of different factors here. Like, we've all seen that Pogačar this year is on a different level. All year long, he stepped up 1 or 2 levels compared to the past. Comes fresh off this amazing demonstration of the World Championships, where he did something crazy, attacking with 100K to go. So he's, of course, still in the same shape. The rainbow jersey on the back, the confidence he has right now is through the roof. It's like, I can do anything. And then on top of that, you have on the other side, you have the competition, who's now seen every single time that whoever tries to follow Tadej Pogačar blows up and explodes, right? So that combined, it's like, okay, it's a race for second. As soon as he goes, nobody tries. Matteo Jorgensen tried a little bit, but on his own rhythm, and just for background, I got information that in Montreal, the Grand Prix Montreal, where Pogačar attacked just before the World Championships, Matteo Jorgensen tried to follow him for a bit, and he was pushing 912 watts for close to 30 seconds until he blew up, trying to follow. I mean, of course, he's bigger and taller.
Yeah, that's like borderline a sprint.
I mean, it's like what? I mean, what the hell? I mean, it's like it's so. He tried to follow, but he didn't make the same mistake in Emilia, so he got his own tempo. But you could straight away see that tempo, his tempo on his threshold, was far from Pogačar. So, I mean, Lombardia is going to be the same thing. I mean, I can't see who can follow him. And I've seen some images on his social media. It's like he's flying. He's like he's floating. Even his training rides, his pedal stroke looks easy. He is in this flow of, everything goes so smooth. And of course, the other guys see that, and it must be very demoralizing to see when he attacks. He looks smooth. He looks fluid. They're working the bike. They look labored, and they can't follow. So it's game over.
Yeah, we'll do an official preview of Lombardy on Friday on outcomes, so we don't have to get into that too much today. But I will just say bad news for everyone. It is the harder course, like the harder finish. That finishes in Como. So it's not great signs for other people. I don't hate McNulty, because you could say like, man, like again, you followed him and you blew up. Like, why'd you do that? But if he gets over that, obviously we know he didn't, but if he gets over that climb with Pogačar.
McNulty or Jorgensen? Sorry,
Jorgensen. I got McNulty on the mind because he's winning races again. Yeah, but yeah, because Jorgensen, if he gets over that climb with Pogačar, he's potentially looking at the second place there. So I don't hate that decision. The thing, I don't know if you listened to this Peter Attia interview with Pogačar, but he said a few interesting things. One, he said he just started watching his diet this year. So, wow.
Yeah.
That would explain why he maybe looks a little bit smoother, has ironed out some of the problems, also went into like some...
Well, he looks lean. I mean, we've said it from the very first time we saw him in Strade Bianche. I said, he looks leaner, and it's been confirmed that he's lighter. And now when I saw him in Giro d'Emilia, I don't know if it's the rainbow jersey or what, but I mean, it doesn't look that much different from the UAE jersey. And his waist is like this. It's so small compared to how he was before. So he definitely lost weight, and he will keep that weight off. When he was, I don't know if he was 66 or 67 kilos in the past, he's probably 64, 65 right now. And let me tell you, he won't put that weight back on. So bad news for the competition.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was the most interesting part of the interview, because he said he's racing at 65 right now. Tour is 64. So only having to lose a kilo for the Tour, it's a huge advantage. The most interesting thing, though, he said biggest off season he gets in the off season is 68 to 69 kilos. So he's only cutting from like Christmas Day, just started the Tour, 4 to 5 kilos. That's a huge advantage over the other riders. Like, think how hard Remco Evenepoel and Mathieu van der Poel have worked to get lean for this World Championships. Pogačar can just roll out of bed and he's at his race weight. That's a massive advantage. And then he also said when he's at zone 2 on climbs around Monaco, he's pushing like 340 watts for 20 minutes in zone 2. So when you're that light and you're that strong, you're very hard to beat on these climbs. I just want to mention a few facts before we move on from this. So he wins his 24th race of 2024 on Saturday. I thought he would have 25 today, but I think he'll have to wait until Saturday to have 25. If, let's say, that happens, that's the most wins of any rider in a single season since Alessandro Petacchi in 2005. It's even more impressive when you consider Petacchi was a sprinter. Like, these sprinters can rack up a lot of wins. Like Cavendish would have 19, 20 win seasons, I believe, because they just get on a roll. There's a lot of opportunities for them. GC riders don't have this. Like Vincenzo Nibali wins a lot. I think he had 54 wins in his entire career. So Pogačar is like basically half of that in one season. I would say, I know Eddie Merckx probably wouldn't agree with me. I don't want to get you in trouble with him, Johan, but I would say this is the most impressive season of any rider ever, because when you go back to the other two treble winners, Stephen Roach and Merckx, like I think Merckx won the Giro by 12 seconds in 1974. Or no,
I didn't check that, but
I think it was like a close Giro. And then Roach was not like dominating like Pogačar is. And we were even talking before we recorded, it's not even the wins that are impressive. It's like the races he didn't win. How many races did he try to win this season that he didn't win? You have San Remo, which is a race for sprinters. You have Montreal, which is a race for faster riders, or not Montreal, Quebec City, which is for faster riders. There was a time trial stage of the Tour where Remco beat him, and then stage 11 where Jonas Vingegaard beat him. And then you could say George Steinhauser with that third week Giro stage, but he wasn't even really trying to win that stage. Yeah. It's unbelievable. Like even the kilometers total that he's been pressed this year are minimal, like minimal. He's been riding his own pace all season long. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it.
No, it's impressive. It's impressive. But at the same time, I've seen these debates and discussions about, the greatest of all times. And I think it's, we can't compare. I personally think it's, what Eddie Merckx did in his career is never going to be done again. But at the same time, you can't compare the era of Eddie Merckx, where cycling back then, was the elite cycling was Central European matter. It was Belgium, France, Holland, Italy, Spain, and a German, and maybe one Scandinavian or something. Nowadays, who would have thought that the 3 Grand Tours would have been in one season would come from Slovenia. And on top of that, the competition is worldwide. They're coming from all over the place. So you can't compare. I think what Pogačar is doing is unique. It's impressive, this dominance. You could say, I've called him the new cannibal. And Eddie Merckx was the cannibal. He's the new cannibal because he wins everything. He puts his mind to, but Eddie Merckx won 525 races in his career. So already that, imagine the amount of races you have to do to win that many times. Nowadays, they don't even do 525 races in a whole career, right? So that's, you can't compare the eras. The season of Pogačar 2024 is an amazing season. I've never seen it in modern cycling. He's the best rider of modern cycling. And then it's up to us to decide, okay, what is modern cycling? I mean, I don't think you can even compare the early 2000s with nowadays. I mean, it's 25 years ago. Let's not forget, so a lot of things have changed. And I think what's impressive is to be that good and that dominant with that high competition you have to face. That's the impressive thing.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say you can't even compare it with the 10s, the 2010s.
Yeah,
I mean, I bet Romain Bardet is as strong, if not stronger now than he was when he was finishing second at the Tour in the mid 2010s, and he's not even a GC contender because that's how high the level has gotten. It is. I mean, I guess we should wait to see if he wins Lombardia. But yeah, I've never seen anything like this. The fact that he's gotten, even if you go back to 2022 and you look at results, he's so much better than he was in 2022.
Yeah.
You look at how he's gone from wow, he's really good. He wins a lot. He's maybe one of the best riders riding today too. Now it's not even a question. And he's winning an absurd amount of races and then just never losing. Like Jonas Vingegaard, who you would say minimum second best stage racer in the world, has 36 career wins. Tadej Pogačar is 24 currently. So he's not far off Jonas's career total.
I've seen a stat somewhere. I mean, it's been surpassed since, there's this battle for, the beat in the World Tour in 2000.
Yeah, the points battle.
And so the points of Pogačar right now, him alone, without any other teammates, he would qualify for a World Tour team spot. Just his points. If you only have his points, you are in the top league already. You don't need any other riders. So, I mean, that's impressive. And then on top of that, the team, the team UAE, they have 80 wins this year, 80. With a lot of different riders. So it's not just Pogačar. Of course, Pogačar has won all these important races, but they are winning all the time. And, it doesn't look like they're going to slow down because they keep adding quality to the team, and they don't lose. They're going to lose Mark Hirschi, which is, obviously, I mean, he's won some important races this year, but a part of that, they don't really lose any top riders, and they keep adding stronger riders to the roster.
Yeah, I mean, just to put into perspective, 2019, pre-COVID, remember that was when Quick-Step used to win the win total every year. They won 64 wins. So, and that was a lot. We thought, wow, that's unbelievable. Second place was Bora Hansgrohe at 47. So 64 was wow, how does anyone do that? And then they've won 80 races. The season's not even over.
Uh-huh.
That is wild. About whatever Pogačar is being paid is actually a deal, because by himself, he's a World Tour team. So if you add up, he has the same number of wins this year as Red Bull Bora. So what's Red Bull Bora's budget? If it's less, if it's more than Pogačar's entire contract, Pogačar's a deal. It's incredible. I mean, even just this weekend, UAE won. Mark Hirschi wins on Sunday at Coppa Agostoni,
yeah.
And then Brandon McNulty wins Crow Race, I guess Tour, that essentially was Tour Croatia.
Yeah.
But my big question here is, how do you, let's say you're director of not a team that is not UAE, are they frustrated by this? Just so are you kidding me? Every week it's just UAE winning every race, and it's hard for, not just Visma is getting some wins in, Little Trek's getting some wins in, but behind those teams, it's slim pickings.
It is. I mean, I think, right now, if I would be a team manager or director and I'm sitting down with my leaders, the first thing I would do is, okay, which races does Pogačar not go to? Let's focus on those. And then as for now, and I've said it already in many occasions, the biggest competition for Tadej Pogačar is himself. The way he loses races is by being too generous, attacking too early. And for example, that stage he lost against Vingegaard was his own mistake, by going too early and not feeding properly. And he continues to make those small mistakes. And it's good for us because that's actually the only unknown factor. We know his level. Of course, the competition know his level. So they only hope, okay, let's see if he does something crazy and, breaks down and runs out of energy. That's the only hope they have for the moment.
Yeah, you kind of like are rolling into my next question here. So it's like Visma Lease Bike, they're unstoppable in 2023. 2024, it's not like they've had a terrible year. I believe they're second in points and maybe third in wins.
Have a lot of bad luck. Let's not forget Visma, first of all, Roglic is not there, which was one of their three top riders. And then Van Aert and Vingegaard had bad accidents, so having that in mind, it's kind of, logical that they're not the top team. But at the same time, when they were the benchmark team and the reference team in 2022 and 2023, they've been surpassed by UAE for sure. And other teams have come up to their level. One of them, for example, is Little Freck. You just named them. They're doing really well.
Well, and maybe it was just natural, right? You're at the top. Roglic isn't going to stick around to play second fiddle. He's going to leave. But I guess the lack of depth has surprised me a little bit. Like if you think about their Giro and Vuelta GC strategies, it's like, really? You just rolled out Uda Brooks and said, good luck, kid. Hope you, and like with Sepp Kuss, like they knew, that's a team that doesn't leave anything up to chance. Like they knew heading into the Vuelta that he was not going to be good enough to compete for the win.
For sure.
And they just didn't have another option. I guess that's what Roglic solves all those problems because he can plug any GC holes that you need. But yeah, maybe it just gets too hard. Maybe UAE will have this problem in the future. Like all these, like how long does Juan Ayuso stick around?
Yeah.
Because we're talking about how good Pogačar is. And I think Eddie Merckx is right on one point. Okay, well, he's great. He's potentially the best season of all time. If he wants to be the best rider of all time, he needs to do this for a decade.
Well, he needs to do it several times. I mean, he doesn't need to do several times the Triple Crown, but he needs to be dominant during several years, which there's no reason why he won't be doing it for 3-4 more years, and then he will be the greatest of all times for sure.
But let's just assume that happens. Obviously, anything could happen, but let's assume that happens. Like, how long does this? We're seeing it with Hershey. Like, good year. Mark Hershey's secretly. Quietly had a very, very good year. And like, how long is Ayuso sticking around? Like even Brandon McNulty, that's a weird situation to me. Yeah. Like, how is he not getting more race starts?
I don't see the same issue with Brandon McNulty. I don't think he's the same character. Brandon McNulty is an amazing rider. He can win a lot of races. For the moment, he's not. I've never seen him being a Grand Tour contender. And not even a Grand Tour podium contender for now. Ayuso is different. Ayuso has, from the moment he started, he was third in the Giro and the Vuelta. I think he's been fourth or fifth also last year, if I'm not mistaken, after a crash. And he has this mentality of being a leader. He's a leader's mentality. This guy's not a gregario. Whenever we've seen already in several occasions when he was put in that position, he does the minimum. He does the job, but he thinks that he's going to be there in case the leader fails. So obviously you're going to have these kind of situations because the stronger you want to make the team, you can't just take away all of the ambitions of the other riders. I was surprised to see him at the Tour de France. By the way, UAE already announced that 2025 Juan Ayuso is not selected for the Tour.
That cannot be good for morale there. Like before camp even starts.
No, but if Ayuso is logical and realistic, I mean, he should know that that's the best for him. He needs to focus on the Vuelta or the Giro. Yeah, he can be podium in those races.
Do you think you know this better than anyone, like big stars like that
And that's why we always say, great riders elevate their level. We've always said that Van der Poel and Van Aert have made themselves so good because they've been rivals for a decade now. Pogačar is this example also, and they all want to get there, and they will get closer. He will not stay that dominant. I think this dominance is probably not. Now we'll see Pogačar staying at this level, and I think he can stay at this level. I don't imagine he can get much better. Otherwise, we may
as well shut the sport down.
A different league, but you're going to see that other riders will get closer to that level in the next 2-3 years. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yeah, and there's the missing man that we're not talking about. Jonas Vingegaard clearly just takes an entirely different approach to the season, more of an old school, I'll try at the Tour, I'll do a few other races, and then I got my feet up in the fall doing whatever Jonas does. Very private guy. We don't really know. But it'd be one, and I think George Hincapie was talking about this at the end of the Tour on the move. Or are you saying it's over, everyone should give up because who can beat Pogačar? But the thing is, George said that last year about Jonas Vingegaard. Pogačar can't beat him. But these guys, so much can happen between year to year in modern cycling. It's one of the cool things. It's UAE or Visma was unstoppable. Now UAE is unstoppable. We don't know what's going to happen in 2025.
And let's not forget that Vingegaard had this incredible bad crash in the Basque Country. Almost a miracle he got to the start of the Tour, and actually a real miracle, the level he got to. And seeing, for example, his performance on, for example, Plateau de Bay, coming out of, from Vingegaard himself, this was his best performance in his career based on the power numbers. So if you think, okay, if Jonas he can achieve his best performance ever after having this really problematic approach towards the Tour, how good can he be if everything is perfect? If he has a perfect season, can he be at the level of Pogačar? I think the answer is yes. But of course, this also keeps Pogačar on the top of his toes, and he's not stupid. He knows that, okay, Jonas didn't have a good preparation. So I beat him, I'm not going to say easily, but comfortably, but I need to keep working. I need to keep improving. And so they both will keep improving.
I mean, one thing Jonas has going for him is Pogačar even said this on the AT interview. He wants to win a lot of races. He's going to try to win Paris-Roubaix at some point. So, but Vingegaard focuses on the Tour, and
that's the thing. That's the difference.
That is the thing in his advantage. So I don't think we should just throw our hands up and be like, the 2025 Tour is already decided. Don't even bother watching. I think we'll be surprised next year how different things look. But we have a lot of
and I think these guys they're very short-term vision. I'm pretty sure that very, very in the very near future, Pogačar will want to win the Vuelta. So to have all three on his palmarès, and then he will go for Milan-San Remo and Paris-Roubaix. Those are the ones that he needs to win.
Yeah, I actually kind of can't imagine that. Keep you I'm going to win the Tour every year for 7 years. That's crazy focus. I don't think most riders or any other rider, I don't think any other rider ever will be that focused for 7 tours in a row. So things will change quickly. Before we go, Gravel World Championships was this last weekend. I don't think the winners are not surprising. Marianne Vos from the Netherlands wins the women's. Mathieu van der Poel from the Netherlands wins the men's. I guess it's surprising that Belgium, which, as you mentioned in our pre-show, was dominating the start line, an unbelievable number of Belgians. It was in Belgium, in Leuven, so not shocking, but they come away with no wins. There was a little bit of, I was actually surprised, but I know Jasper Stuyven, I'm sure he was just frustrated at the finish line, was complaining that his Belgian teammates that are on Alpecin were helping Van der Poel, and it was a weird race. Was it Florian Vermeersch attacks? Van der Poel goes with them. Belgium seems okay with that. Vermeersch pulls Van der Poel. Obviously, he's going to lose. Van der Poel drops him. Vermeersch kind of just seemed like he was riding for second, which is that's like a strategy. It's not a bad idea just to ride for what I need to get in front of these other Belgians because they're going to beat me in the sprint. So I got to get out here. Now he's got second place. That's a pretty good result. Behind, like in theory, in the perfect world, he would have sat on Van der Poel. His teammates would have chased behind. They would have used their numbers. But realistically, how does that work? The Belgians on Alpecin are like, you get to the line, you're like, sorry, Mathieu, we chased you down. It's like he's essentially their boss.
This is completely different. I mean, listen, it's the gravel, with all due respect for the discipline, right? It is not, it's elite because these guys have decided to participate.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's not the elite. It's not the best riders in the world. And on top of that, it depends on the circuit. But, it would be stupid to assume that the Belgians are going to ride as a team. First of all, and this is a wild guess, but if you look at the elite participants, if there were, 300 guys at the start, there's probably 80 Belgians. They're not going to all ride as a team.
Yeah, what's that team meeting look like? It's like an
auditorium. There's no team meeting. There's no strategy. There's no team support. There's nothing. It's an individual sport, right?
Yeah.
And of course, if then you have several riders of different teams, and we go back to the old discussion of even the world championships on the road being with national teams, it's already very unnatural that these guys work together during that one day for a jersey that's going to be won and worn by a rider who is 364 days out of the year their rival. So it makes no sense. I'm not surprised at all when you saw. Well, anyways, with or without the team support, Van der Poel was going to win this. He was, when he went, he was really better. And then when he went from Florian Vermeers, it was like, okay, hey, enough now. I'm doing my own thing.
He was a good rider too.
He was second last year in the World Championships. Vermeers.
I think he was third. Was he third at Roubaix at some point?
Second.
He
was second in Roubaix. Yeah. Another addition to UAE, by the way, for next year. He goes to UAE. Florian Vermeers.
That's a good pickup. That's a really good pickup.
If you look at Van der Poel, it's another discipline that he wanted to be world champion in. So he's not been world champion in mountain bike yet. So he's now announced that that's a focus for next year. He's been cyclocross multiple times, road, now gravel, and just misses he misses the track. He still needs to be on the track, world champion also. That's not going to happen, I think. And then in the women's race, Marianne Vos, definitely the greatest of all times. Van der Poel takes his 11th rainbow jersey in his career. 11 out of 24 participations, and he's been 16 times on the podium in all the world championships he's done, all categories and all disciplines combined. Marianne Vos wins her 14th rainbow jersey in her career. 38 years old. And she has actually, she hasn't been world champion in mountain bike, but she's been cyclocross, road, gravel now, and on velodrome. World champion.
It's super impressive. My first thought was, other than wow, she roasted Kopecky. Kopecky couldn't even sprint, and that's technically the best rider in the world right now. My first thought though was, oh man, maybe they shouldn't have dropped her on the final lap in Zurich, because if she goes up against Kopecky, she might win that sprint. And I just could not get over, in retrospect, the side. I don't think we talked about this, Johan. I don't think we released a move on it, but with Vollering accelerating with Vos like 5 meters off the back, just dangling, like I still can't get that out of my mind. And this.
The Dutch team and the world in the women's race was horrible team tactics.
Well, thanks, Johan. I think we will call it there this week, but we'll be back next week and every off-season week after that to talk about the topics of the week and take your questions when we get deeper into the offseason. Send those to info@wedo.team. Just a subject line, something like the Move Plus questions for the show, and we will try to get to those. Have a great week, Johan. We will talk soon.
Okay, thanks, Spencer. Speak next week.
All right, bye.